If you're a landlord and you're looking for good, reliable tenants who will pay the rent on time and look after your property, then we can help you. Being a landlord can be stressful, can't it? You want to protect your investment and ensure that it is giving you the best return possible. But how do you do this in the best possible way? You have a huge amount to consider, and with all the ever-changing legalities involved, this can be extremely stressful and time-consuming. There's finding good tenants, referencing those tenants, drawing up a valid legally binding contract, constructing a photographic inventory, protecting the deposit, dealing with maintenance, deposit, tenant disputes, collecting rent, the list goes on. Finding good tenants. If only it was easy to find reliable, honest tenants who you could trust to look after your property. You can put an advert in your local newspaper, but you're aware that the majority of people look online for property now. As a private landlord, how can you get your property on the major portals like Rightmove and Zoopla? And with so many people looking online, how can you make sure that you aren't missing out? We will advertise your property on all of the major online property portals, Rightmove, Zoopla and Prime Location. We match the property to people we have waiting on our database, and we'll qualify all the leads that come in to make sure they are suitable and organise the viewings. We do the viewings for you and try and find someone ASAP to avoid any void periods. Most importantly, you do not pay us a penny until we find you a suitable tenant. We'll take the stress away from you. Referencing. The majority of applicants seem nice and trustworthy when you meet them in person, but you've got to do your background checks for your own peace of mind and to avoid problems further down the line. How can you be sure they have a good credit rating and can actually afford the rent each month? Have you checked references from their previous landlord and employer? And wouldn't it be great if you could do something to minimise the risk? We fully reference all applicants to make sure they have a good credit rating and affordability. We check with the previous landlord to see if they have paid the rent on time and also if they've looked after the property. Would they rent to them again? We will also call their employer to check that they earn what they say they do, and we'll also check the position is permanent and not temporary or on a trial period. Contracts. Drawing up a watertight contract to protect both parties is an absolute must. You need something that will stand up in court and protect you should any problems arise. How do you get this right? We have extensive knowledge and experience of what can happen during a tenancy and make sure that our contract has a clause for every eventuality. The clauses are really there if things go wrong, and if the rent is paid on time and the property is looked after, then we really don't need to worry too much about it, but it's very important that it's right should something go wrong in the future. Inventories. Wouldn't it be great if your property was always returned to you in the same good, clean condition that it started in? Unfortunately, as I'm sure you know, this is often not the case. If you don't have a thorough photographic inventory clearly stating the condition of the property and its contents at the start of the tenancy, it's very unlikely that you will have sufficient evidence to win any deposit disputes. This usually means that any cleaning or repair bills will fall to you to pay at your own expense. How will you make sure you stand in the best position to win the claim and cover your costs in order to get the property ready to let again? We provide a thorough photographic inventory, which is usually around 20 to 30 pages long. This will prove invaluable if any disputes. We have won a lot of disputes with our inventories and checkouts, and we can also carry out the checkout for you. Deposits. You know you need to protect your deposit, but where do you start? And are you fully aware of the implications if you get it wrong? Deposit law changed from the 6th of April 2007 to say that all assured short-hold tenancy deposits must be protected by a government-backed tenancy deposit scheme. As well as registering the actual deposit, you also need to issue the tenant with the scheme's prescribed information. If you fail to register the deposit or issue the information correctly, then you could be faced with a fine of up to 3 times the value of the deposit. Failing to issue this could also mean that you cannot legally evict the tenant using Section 21 procedure. Can you afford to get this wrong? We give you the choice of lodging the deposit yourself with an approved scheme, or we will lodge it for you with the DPS. We are fully aware of the legislation and will check we follow it correctly. We will issue prescribed information to ensure you are covered. Maintenance. You know the feeling. the phone call in the middle of the night, just when you're sitting down to dinner, or when you're hard at work yourself. Why does it always happen at the most inconvenient of moments? Wouldn't it be great if someone else could take that call and deal with it all for you, leaving you to concentrate on the other important things in your life? You've heard of letting agents who offer a management service, but aren't they expensive? You like to use your own tradespeople that you trust. You might even like to do the maintenance yourself. Keeping control of the costs is a top priority, isn't it? We give you the choice of contractors, your own or yourself or ours, and we will always approve any work and confirm costs with you prior to the work being done so that you can keep control of costs. Any maintenance costs, along with the original invoices, will be sent with your monthly landlord statement. We only charge 10% per month. Not expensive at all for the peace of mind. So your move-in went smoothly, the rent details have been organised, and then it happened. The dispute. It may be a breach of contract, late rent, a dispute on the move out. Where do you go from here? It can all get very personal and upsetting. That's where we step in. As an independent party, we're able to negotiate all problems to a successful resolution. Rarely does it end up with a dispute going to court, but when it does, we'll look after you. We have all the necessary processes, procedures in place and legal knowledge in order to help you. Where it goes a bit further and we end up having to take it to court, we have our legal representative who can help you. We will take care of this and we'll do our very best to ensure that we never get to this point. Collecting rent. Wouldn't it be nice to take away the worry of whether the rent will be paid on time each month? Tenants aren't always aware of the fact that you may have a mortgage to pay, and the banks aren't going to wait for you, are they? When they don't pay, you've either got to take the approach of knocking on the door, which not all people are comfortable with, or leave another voicemail, only to be told, "I'll get it to you by the end of the week." How do you take the stress away? We have a number of options that we can present to you. Firstly, we will make sure the tenants are fully referenced and can afford the rent in the first place, but we can also look at taking out rent protection policies and legal policies to avoid any future disputes. These will guarantee to pay you the rent if the tenant does not. To get in touch and find out how we can help you with your property, just give us a call on 0330 223 0670 or contacting us using the form on our website. Don't forget, if you know someone who may benefit from our services, we pay £100 cash for all successful referrals. Just tell them to mention your name when they get in touch.